It's Wednesday, April the 10th, 2024. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is things you might have heard. This is your daily news update from the Conversation Project, weekday daily news update. Conversation Project, we have 8 news stories in the queue that cover information, politics, current events, and pop culture news stories. We are your supplemental source for news, so please don't call us your mainstream source because there's other things out there. But these 8 stories were vetted by you throughout the day as conversational. We'll explain how that all works out at the end of the headlines. Plus, give you some fun things to get on your day today, so stick around for all that stuff. Find more about us at the Conversation Project's website. This is conversationproject.com, and email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com to chit chat with us as necessary. No particular order as the stories are coming through. We'll give you some context on how they got to be where they are in the countdown today, but let's get into the headlines for this morning. Starting off with the headline that's in the slot for story number 1. That story reads like this. Headline reads like this, I should say. EA Sports finally reveals college football video game date, or EA finally reveals it. Electronic Arts, the company behind EA Sports, which still puts out Madden, still puts out the baseball, the show, still puts out a FIFA game, but 10 years ago, 11 years ago, stopped doing college basketball, stopped doing college football because likeness and rights and imaging, which exists now. So there's a way to pay college players for their images in these games, but back in the day there wasn't. In fact, a big lawsuit. I actually worked with a salesperson in radio who was a college cheerleader because a picture of them was used in the last EA football game for college football. Got a check. I think it was like $100 or something like that, but in the settlement. No need to settle it. Just basically you sign a letter and you have your rights to the games. Now, the basketball game coming up, EA Sports College Basketball is coming, or college football, I should say, is coming into fruition in July 19th, the date for the release of EA Sports College Football, the first game back in the actual line of EA Sports. Electronic Arts was the leader in sports games until something happened. Madden's still the leader, basically because Madden found a way, EA found a way to buy out ESPN's version of it because ESPN was eating their lunch. Although the 2K version of basketball has overtaken EA basketball. I don't think EA does basketball anymore. NBA basketball, we'll see. But if you've been jonesing for college sports players to play the college game as the teams that you love or the teams that you've played for, or teams that schools you went to, football is coming back this season. Basketball will be back fairly soon, we expect, as well. Let's move on to the next story at number 2 this morning. Headline for that story reads, Women's NCAA title game outdraws men's championship with an average of 18.9 million viewers. This number has been updated a few times in the process, but what we know is the final game for the women outdid the final game for the men. There might be some other factors in there, other things that kind of distract you going forward. Although the eclipse was many, many hours before the actual ball game. But the big deal was people were cheering for the women's game and the women playing. And a lot of people were watching this on ESPN, ABC over the course of the past 3-4 weeks, as opposed to the most people who were watching it normally in the TBS, Paramount world of ABC, CBS to get the men's game out there. So people were watching, but the people weren't watching as much as maybe it was curiosity. Maybe people are actually falling in love with women's sports at this point in time. We shall see how this plays out next year without a Caitlin Clark, without a big, and Angel Reese, without big stars like that in the women's game to keep things going. But we'll see if that will bring some eyeballs coming up in the near summer for WNBA games or going forward. Right now, let's hear it for the girls. Let's give them their props, give them flowers for doing what they did and outshining what happened. Oh, by the way, UConn gets a double. They win last night in the actual college, or 2 nights ago they actually won. So if we didn't say that already yet, UConn won and South Carolina won. So give them their props on that end. But the men did not outshine the women in the ratings game. Our headline for the third story this morning: Jon Snow knows nothing, but Harington believes that the Jon Snow sequel for Game of Thrones isn't going to happen. He's confirmed that the anticipated Jon Snow sequel to HBO's Game of Thrones will just not going to happen. Despite previous discussions and excitement over the project, which would have seen Harington reprise the iconic role of Jon Snow, who knows nothing, he basically shut down all speculation, say it's just not going to happen. He's disappointed. Many people are disappointed. Fans of Jon Snow are disappointed. Enemies of Jon Snow are disappointed. People in general who want more Game of Thrones are kind of disappointed. But the whole deal is the Jon Snow back spin-off series not happening via HBO or anyone at this point. Our story for number 4 this morning. Arizona Supreme Court upholds 1864 law banning nearly all abortions. Arizona is going to the literal wild, wild west, to a law that was on the books while the Civil War was being waged, before Arizona was even an actual state. The decision came 4-2, ruling in favor of the anti-abortion obstetricians and county prosecutor, pressing for the enforcement of this old law. Essentially bans all abortions, period, unless it's whether it's literally dying on the table right there. Activists are upset. Many people in Arizona are upset. We're going to see this one play out quite a bit for quite some times. Add to this the fact that we have the issue where Donald Trump had his video a few days ago basically saying that this should go to the states. States should rule on it, but I'm not so much down for all these bans, but the state should figure it out. Here's a state that figured it out, and the people aren't so thrilled about what the state figured out on this one. The Attorney General says she will fight this because it doesn't seem to make sense. Your opinion on abortion and your opinion on the ruling, it may vary. If you want to chat it up with me, respond in the comments, or just email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com and say, hey, I want to talk abortion, which sounds kind of weird in an email statement, but okay. And we can chat this up and have more discussion on this. Remember, these are about stories that are conversational to you, stories you vet. We'll explain the full process in a bit. But because you guys got into this one, that's why we're bringing it up this morning. The headline for story number 5. Jennifer and James Crumbley, parents of Michigan school shooter, sentenced to 10 to 15 years of manslaughter. Now, depending on how you're viewing this or listening to this, it may have a different headline in the teaser headline, because we wanted to put Jennifer and James Crumbley there, but because their name is very long, it was replaced by the EA Sports and many of the features. Some places are seeing EA Sports, but got the teaser graphic of Jennifer and James Crumbley. Yesterday, they were sentenced 10 years for Jennifer, 15 years for James Crumbley for manslaughter, for essentially being a part of, although they didn't seem like they thought they were part of the planning and the murder spree that went on for Ethan Crumbley from the school shooting in 2021. Essentially, Jennifer got 10 years for, this is literally playing out for the theme of the song Jeremy by Pearl Jam. Jennifer, the mommy wasn't paying attention, and the dad just, was careless with what they are keeping up with the guns. Gun maybe not hidden or locked away. Essentially, Jennifer going to the gun range with her son, even though they knew he was disturbed. They had some idea about the letter written that morning about all the evil things he was thinking, and they said, go to school. They are now been convicted of manslaughter, and they have been sentenced to 10 to 15 years going forward. Comment on that one as you wish to go deeper into that discussion as well. This story is number 6 for this morning, dealing along with school shootings. This is a case that keeps going on, because I guess we're not going to get a resolution for a while for this one, even though it's done. Former assistant principal charged with child neglect in case of 6-year-old boy who shot teacher. Very famous story. The 6-year-old boy at Rick Neck Elementary School who shot his teacher, first grade teacher, last year. All sorts of charges have been going on. Also, blame has been out there, fingers pointed. A former assistant principal named Ebony Parker has been indicted on 8 felony counts of child neglect for this issue. Charges against Parker are significant, as the case has brought to light the responsibilities and accountability of school administrators in these things. We're now seeing with the Crumbley case, the parents are now becoming more and more involved in being called into curtain for their involvement and their responsibility. School officials in these things also as well. We'll see how this one plays out as the case keeps going. The number 7 story for the day. A Florida woman has been sentenced for stealing Ashley Biden's diary. That Florida woman's name is Amy Harris, sentenced to a month in prison and 3 months of home confinement for the theft and sale of Ashley Biden's diary. Everything's a tongue twister with this story. Harris pleaded guilty in 2022 to conspiracy charge related to the incident. Attracted attention due to the high-profile nature of the stolen item and its owner, Miss Ashley Biden, who is, of course, President Biden's daughter. That's pretty much it. It's really just kind of a ridiculous crime and what's going on. And if you're seeing the video, the picture of it right there, that's her holding her face, I'm sure her face is in a mugshot someplace where you can see the full thing, but coming out of court, that's her with her hand over her face. Read the story and go deeper into detail on how the thing actually just laid out. But many people trying to get a bit of fame, a bit of notoriety, or maybe think they're doing the right thing by doing some things like this. This was not Hunter Biden's laptop by any means, but this is one where we have an actual person who's going to do some time, a month, for some sort of crime. And finally, American Society of Magical Negroes pulled after 3 weeks. This is a movie I was curious about, not so much looking forward to, but I guess I have to wait for it to come on streaming because the movie has been pulled. Why? It's bad. Essentially, the movie is terrible. I mean, you have that title, you have a great cast in this thing, and what you're getting is a musical love story, a rom-com. And that's sort of it. One of the biggest knocks against the movie is the fact that the movie plot, the whole issue of the movie itself, is just really, really bad. The title will make you think it's tackling themes for a narrative that is kind of overdone, but yet underappreciated in the world. The whole Magic Negro sort of cast, where a movie is cast where it's some white guy is the hero, and he gets some sort of tutoring and some mentoring and just living by a black person, the Magic Negro, the Bagger Vance thing. The reason why Carl Weathers is in the Happy Gilmore movie, things like that. But it's not. It's just a terrible, terrible movie, apparently. So I'll have to wait for streaming to see it because I don't want to pay money for something that apparently is that bad, and apparently no one else does as well. $50 million budget, more or less, making about 2.9 in 3 weeks worth of time. In our errors, apologies, and omissions, one, I'll apologize for always saying errors, apologies, omissions. I may have to change that so I can actually say it right. No real big issues going on today. We'll do some extra heavy lifting later on that will extend the version of this video, so bear with that. But real quick, we always sneak in one story here. We're meeting a story we're not talking about, don't have time to because of the full time. The number 9 story for today, and I'll just tell you why that's significant in a moment. It was a 9th ranked story for this morning. Elon Musk says his post did more to financially impair X than help it. Elon Musk is admitting that him doing all that posting and retweeting stuff like that, not doing great for the company, making things worse, helping him lose money. Go to our feeds and check out the link and go deeper in detail into the story. But basically, he's admitting this. He did admit it to Don Lemon or to anybody else, but he's admitting it currently that the financial harm to X is happening because he's basically talking a lot of stuff that he probably shouldn't be talking. Or maybe that's not what he said. You just interpret it any way you need to because he is Elon Musk, by the way. It is now the time to talk about our teaser story, which is a story which you are teasing right now, which we could talk about later on if you deem it worthy of chatting up. Here's where we explain the vetting process for what we do here. The Conversation Project lives on you and your work, and so we need you to tell us what stories are conversational. You may have heard me say that already. How is that possible? Follow our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thisisconversationproject and Twitter, X, if you must, /th_conversation. What we have there, we do there more or less, is post news stories every 50 minutes or so on those feeds. As you see those stories come down a lot, as you check in with your other stuff on your Facebook for your red pill, red meat, whatever you're looking for, check out what we're talking about. We post news stories from various different sources, various different places. Some may be more red pill and red meat than others. Some you may like or dislike more than others, but we do various things to get you those news. Engage in the story appropriately. If you don't like the story, click the little mean face. If you like it, click a heart. Do what you want to do to engage it. The higher engagement score we get for stories, the better chance we have of talking about it in the next iteration. On Tuesday through Friday, we give you 8 stories from the top 15 stories of the day prior. So that's where the 8 stories came from today. On Monday, we'll give you 10 stories from top 30 for the full weekend. That story we had a moment ago by Elon Musk, number 9, it was the 9th ranked story per engagement of the day, and it had a chance of going through it. We picked 8 others, though. We picked a lot of lower ranked stories because they're interesting today. So we'll see how that works out as the weekend plays out. We'll talk about that on Friday. But we can talk about this story specifically tomorrow if you want to talk about it. The headline that we're teasing today is this. Frustrated Dollar Tree shoppers threaten to ditch the store after it announces $7 items. Getting this story from Business Insider, which is more bloggy than business, but it gives you what you need. So check it out. If you deem this one worthy and you engage in it enough, it has a shot to talk about tomorrow in tomorrow's listing of stories. Just like that. Right now, we're going to talk about our spotlight sponsor, which is Fundrise. Fundrise is a way to invest, to literally expand your portfolio into things other than just, stocks and bonds. Fundrise has funds on various different things. They do have various funds for emerging markets, and there's brand new funds where you can get in on some companies that aren't exactly inside the stock market to get money off of those. They built themselves on a fund or funds for real estate. So their big thing going forward was essentially get into the world of real estate by investing without having to go out there and buy a house and build and flip. I got into Fundrise 2 years ago, did not lose a single dime in the first year that I was investing with it. So it was amazing what they did with their money portfolios. Still an investor, still use the app, and still invest regularly every single month to enjoy that portfolio, that expansion into my portfolio, into my investments. You should check it out as well. In fact, they will offer you free shares if you go over there and check them out right now and use our link, because they're going to bless us all with a bit of a commission to us and some extra things for you going forward. Check it out at this is theconversationproject.com/fundrise. This is theconversationproject.com/fundrise. You've seen the commercials about the new emerging markets fund, so you can see a way to get into the new emerging markets, new technologies, new businesses, new things that you don't have access to because you're not a big time stockbroker, but Fundrise has access to that right now. A great fun to get into at the moment. Remember, these are investments. Investments can lose money, and I have lost money over some time with some things that are investment because markets change and whatever. But as I said, complete honestly, the first year I was in Fundrise, the first year I was contributing, the first 13 to 14 months actually, all gains. They weren't all necessarily major gains, but no losses in about 14 months as a member of Fundrise. I actually joined it before we became an affiliate sponsor for them. They became an affiliate sponsor for us. So it was one of the things I saw. It was awesome, and I reached out to them, and they allowed us to be an affiliate, them to be a sponsor. So check them out. Let them take good care of your money. They'll take a little care of us with a bit of commission in the ways. You can also take care of us with the Conversation Project. We are online at thisisaconversationproject.com. We live there as a website to do the things that websites do. Offer you ways to find more about us. So find out more about us by going to our website. You can email us whenever you feel at the conversation inbox, gmail.com, so we can chat things up deeper as well. You can also do what I've asked you to do most importantly, which is follow us in the feeds. That's the thing that actually makes things work around here. Go to Facebook and Twitter or X, engage in the stories. That way we have newscasts for every single morning. Now, if you deem us worthy, you deem us good enough, or think, we're not quite there, but can use a little help, we have a link on a page called the partnership page. You go to our partnership page and we have various links for you to contribute to us to help us do better. And we will tell you, we will honor anything you'll give to us to work on going forward. If you're a partner, you get a chance to find more insights, more deeper details on all the things behind the scenes and how things are working, what we're doing with your time and your money. And so we make sure that we're good stewards of that. But if you deem us worthy of going to do bigger and better things, right now we are sort of stalled in our progress. A lot of factors in those things. A little bit of help, a little financial help could help make things work a little better. And your insight, because as a partner, you're essentially on the board. You get to tell me what things are actually working, what things are not. And I am compelled to listen and kind of try to do those things, as opposed to the comments where it's kind of like, this is good, this is bad, yeah, I'm not doing this. If you're in a partner, we're going to have a longer, deeper conversation on why I can and can't do certain things going forward. It is that simple. It's like that. So check us out, other website. This is conversationproject.com. Lots of calls to action, but ways to find us in various forms, ways to connect with us in various forms, and consider being a partner. I ask you every single morning to consider being a partner. We're also going to go in right now and ask another quick ask right now. I have produced a new book for a new project we're trying to do to expand on vocabulary. A little something I'm doing to keep myself sane in this time of insanity. I'm calling it the Big Words Project, and the Big Words Project is going to produce 12 books over the span of 3 years, one a quarter, with 100 words to give you in that span of 90 days for 3 months. a word day to go forward. The first book is out called Big Words You Ought to Know, Volume 1. It goes from the word but to the word zest. Check it out wherever you buy books online because it's there. It's an Amazon Kindle published book, so you can go straight to Amazon because we all are on Amazon. Look for it, search for my name, search for Big Words You Ought to Know, and get this book today. It's $12 in paperback. It's $6 in Kindle form, and $1 of every single book sold is going to a local book reading program. So check it out today. Learn some big words. In fact, we're incorporating more of the Big Words Project and the whole thing here with the Conversation Project, and things you might not have heard, which you will hear literally right now, because we're going to go to the fun stuff. Fun stuff happens every single weekday morning here on the Conversation Project, and we always get into fun stuff with the birthdays. We'll get to the big word today in a moment. Birthdays for today include Steven Seagal. We always seem to show our love for Steven Seagal because I guess he's just Steven Seagal, so lovely and cuddly and all that great stuff. Steven Seagal is 72 years old on the day, and I'm pretty sure still living in Russia, hanging out with Putin, doing Russia stuff. I don't know what he's really doing, but Steven Seagal, very much a character, a staunch character of a generation, as the Gen Xers, grew up on Steven Seagal movies and his kind of weird, slow karate chop and things like that. But now in his older age, he's Steven Seagal, but love to him anyway. Also love to Orlando Jones, who's 56 years old, and David Harbour, 49 years old. Two folks I'd rather want to highlight and spotlight, but Steven Seagal sort of steals all the spotlight, so you just have to kind of roll with that. Our history lesson for today, we're going to spotlight 1978. This is the year, it's the day, that Volkswagen became the first non-American automotive manufacturer to build cars in the United States, opening a plant in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. Congratulations for Volkswagen, as they say it in German. They say it there. I say it very poorly, for being the first car manufacturer here in the States. And now we have all of the major companies have building cars here. It's easier to build them here and sell them here than to build them and ship them. But Volkswagen, the people's car, one of the most popular vehicles in the world, even to this day, if you can find an old punch buggy out there, started building cars here in the States in 78. Let's go to our word of the day from the Big Words Project. It is yearn. Its definition: to have an earnest or strong desire. I yearn to get people more knowledge and get them bigger words out there. There you go. Check out more from the Word and the Big Words Project at thebigwordsproject.com. And finally, today we celebrate Siblings Day. Now, if you have siblings, celebrate them if you love them. If you have siblings, you're not that fond of them, acknowledge them, because, one day you might need a kidney. You never really know. If you don't have siblings, this is a time to either lament on the fact that you don't have any, or kind of be happy, because sometimes siblings are a pain in the butt. I had a sibling. My sister died about 20 years ago. And while we were kids, she was quite the pain in the butt. As we became adults, we, were getting an adult thing, and that's when we lost her. So I do not get a chance to celebrate a day like Siblings Day. So this is something that I regret. I don't get a chance to either celebrate or lament her, because we've not had a relationship for quite some time. If you have siblings today, take some time to acknowledge them, take some time to say hi, just make a phone call. If they owe you money, remind them, and go ahead and start that fight, and remind them that, they're the one that actually broke grandma's lamp that you got blamed for, because that's what siblings do. They make each other's lives miserable because that's what siblings do. It is what it is, and that's why we love our siblings. Happy Siblings Day to all of y'all with siblings, and those without. You pick and choose which way to kind of fit on the fence of that one, whether you're going to love the fact that you're singles, or kind of wish you had somebody to blame other things on, because essentially it comes down to having someone to blame stuff on. That's kind of how siblings work. And to borrow money that never gets repaid, because that's how it works. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I thank you so much for being a part of this thing here called Things You Might Not Have Heard. We do this every single weekday morning on the YouTube, on the Facebook. The Instagram buttons are really complicated, so we don't do it there, but Twitter does the spaces as well. And apparently I can do it on TikTok, but I couldn't find the button, so you may not see me there on TikTok. But we do have various other ways to find and engage with the news, as we do here, conversational news. We have the hot takes on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. We have the newsletter, which is just the words, just the links, none of this, That's me doing my voice and my face. So you can get the easy, quick things. Those get published. The newsletter is published about 6:20 every single weekday morning, and the weekend shows, which we'll talk about closer to weekends. In the meantime, we need you to follow us wherever you want to follow us, watch and engage with us, engage in the stories and the feeds, because that's how we actually get the stories to talk about. These are conversational stories based on what you want to talk about, not necessarily by a rundown from some producer, although I am producer, I do the rundown. And consider being a partner, because we have great, grand things in the pipeline, but we're lacking the resources and a little bit of hands to make that happen. So you want to put hands on. We appreciate whatever you can do for us. In the meantime, make sure you are staying limber, hydrated, and on task for all the grand things you're here to do. Life is a journey. Life is not a sprint. It's very much a marathon. So make sure you're pacing yourself for that marathon and not sprinting so hard you hurt yourself and take yourself out of the equation. That's what that's all about. Love you. Mean it. Have a great Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week. April is flying. This month, this year, this always seems like it's flying. And then once you get into it, enjoy the day. Enjoy your siblings, or hate on your siblings. You be the judge of that one. But make sure you come back and see us here tomorrow.